We have a phrase in the Marine Corps: improvise, adapt, and overcome. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. When things are going badly, you got to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And let me tell you, folks, things are going pretty badly right now in America. When I read the signs out here, war is not the answer. Trump seems to be starting wars just off our coast. We will not be bullied into silence. He's trying to silence people who disagree with him. Rather than just engage in a debate, he wants to whisk them off the streets with masked men. He wants to get them canceled on TV. You can't even be a comedian and make a joke about the dear leader right now. Trump is a Russian asset. Well, I don't know if that's true, but it sure hasn't been proven that's not true. Ukrainians are fighting for their freedom, and he can't stand up for them to just get them the stuff they need to stay alive. Donald Trump seems to want to be a king. That's why we have no kings rallies. The last time we had to talk about not having a king was over 250 years ago. That's when Americans, early Americans, assembled in places like Gloucester, Massachusetts, and said, we don't want the chains of a king. We don't want to be told what to think. We don't want to be told what to do. We want to have basic freedoms. Basic freedoms enshrined in our Constitution. And when they like to call us weak for standing up for our basic values, let me tell you folks, it is not weak to stand up for freedom. It is not weak to stand up for people who just got here and are trying to start a new life with them and their families. When masked enforcers from ICE or whatever else show up without badges, without warrants, afraid to show their faces because they're so cowardly, it is not weak to stand up to them, to call them out, to protest them, and to try to get free people out of prison. You know, it's amazing that you got so-called tough guys like Trump, like Musk, like Hegseth, who are all upset about getting canceled for sexual harassment. That's what they're getting canceled for. That's why they shouldn't be in government. You don't get a job in government if you break the law. This is the first convicted felon to be president of the United States. But then someone goes and makes a joke on TV about the president. And what happens? Jimmy Kimmel, not Jimmy Tingle yet. He's still here, folks. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. This president is so weak that he literally can't even take a joke. It is dictators who silence the media. It is fascists who are a prey to the opposition. It is narcissists who can't even take a damn joke. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, have some self-esteem, Mr. President. Be able to laugh at yourself. And yet he can't even do that. And all of this terrorizing of the American people, all of this lawlessness from the very top, all of this acquiescence to tyranny in our society, it brought us to a moment a couple weeks ago when a man that I did not like and do not agree with was savagely killed. His memorial service is today in Arizona, and we all standing here, Democrats across the board, can agree that Charlie Kirk should not have died. That's not democracy. And we don't have a problem saying that. And we don't have a problem saying that we can have a peaceful protest here without any guns, without any violence, and we can all stand together and condemn political violence because it's the opposite of American values. It's the opposite of democratic values. And we can stand strong together and condemn political violence no matter what side it's on. But that's not what we got from Republicans in Congress when Nancy Mace said Democrats have blood on their hands. That's not what we got from Vice President Vance when he called for retribution going on Charlie Kirk's podcast. And that's not what we got from the President of the United States when he turns his death into a political crusade. A political crusade for his side of the aisle, for his dark vision of America, and he tries to attack all of us with the same kind of violence that ended Charlie Kirk's life. That is wrong, America. We are not going to stand for that. They blamed the other side before the suspect was even in custody. And guess what? I got a lot of death threats because I pointed out the simple fact that President Trump should do what other Republicans are doing, like Speaker Johnson, like George Bush, after the attacks on 9/11. But that's not what we got from Donald Trump. Donald Trump likes to incite violence, not condemn it. If this man is serious about ending political violence, about cracking down on violent political criminals, then maybe he should revisit that decision to pardon everybody after January 6th. I've never seen more political violence in this country's history. They went to kill cops. They went to kill Nancy Pelosi. They went to kill their own vice president. And what did Trump do? After inciting the rally, after telling him to go down the street, after telling him to overthrow the election results, after refusing to call out the National Guard. He could call out the National Guard for a parade, and yet he can't call them out when they're attacking the United States Congress. And what does he do after that? He pardons. He pardons these cop killers. He pardons these political terrorists. He pardons them because they're his MAGA people. He'll go after the left and protect the right. That's not democracy. That's authoritarianism. That's from someone who's fundamentally afraid of elections. Someone who's afraid he can't win. And that's why our job as Democrats, as independents, as principled Republicans, I hope we've got some principled Republicans out here today. We've got to win. And we are going to win not by intimidating the other side, not by being afraid of the political opposition, not by trying to put them down, but by inspiring Americans to rise up, inspiring Americans to volunteer, inspiring Americans to get involved. Because, you know, America has never been a country that's gotten it all right. We made a lot of mistakes through the years, through the centuries. No, we've never been a country that's got it all right, but we've always been a country that believes that we might. That in the future, we can get there. That we may not have the American dream today, but it will be there for us tomorrow, or there for our kids. That this experiment in democracy will not die at the hands of a weak narcissist who's afraid he will lose. That we do not need to elect convicted felons to the White House or his acolytes. You know, the irony with Charlie Kirk's death, of course, is that President Trump has done everything the opposite of what he supposedly advocated for. He's trying to silence debate rather than engage.
He's trying to put America down. But that's why we are here to rise up. And throughout our history, when Americans have believed that we may not be perfect, but we can get there, we have relied on one simple concept, and that's volunteers. Volunteers who show up. Volunteers who showed up in the middle of the night to push a boatload of tea into Boston Harbor. That's not far away. Volunteers who showed up at Lexington and Concord, and even Salem a few days before that, to start the revolution against a king, a dictator, someone who wanted to put us down. Volunteers who went south when half of our country believed in slavery. And rather than just push them off or defeat them, bring us back together. Volunteers, maybe even some of you, who a century after that, when black Americans were still held down, rode buses in the South, sat at lunch counters in the South. They said, we can do better, America. We can come together. We can be united, and we can stand up for American values. This week marks the 238th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution. 238 years. We've been through lots of ups and downs in 238 years. Some good moments, some bad moments, some good presidents, some bad presidents, the worst president. We're experiencing that. And yet we always come back. And that's why we're here today. To remind this president, to remind his administration, to remind those masked enforcers of ICE or whatever else, that we are standing together strong as Americans. Americans who believe in our fundamental values. Freedom. How about you get up and say what you believe? Don't ever stop doing that. How about you make sure that when the president accepts bribes from foreign governments, we say that's not acceptable? How about when he threatens to end birthright citizenship, we welcome immigrants into our homes, into our communities. We tell them how to be Americans. We remind them of our heritage together and our shared values and our shared belief in freedom. When he gerrymandered Democrats out of existence, we'll fight back. We'll figure it out. And we're going to win those midterms seen before. And guess what? In just about a week, he's going to try to shut down the government. He's going to try to shut down the government because Democrats are asking for one simple thing in return for helping him out. They control everything in Washington. The House, the Senate, the White House, it's all under Republican control. All under MAGA. And Democrats are going to demand something pretty simple. We're just going to demand that health care costs stay low. And not just in blue states, but in red states, too. We're just going to fight for people's right to basic health care. Don't you think that should be an American freedom, too? It's a human right to have health care. Millions of Americans are about to see their health premiums go up because the big, beautiful bill is taking away health care from millions of Americans. Why? Because they're giving tax cuts to billionaires. How many billionaires out here need a tax cut? Raise your hands. Not seeing too many. Not up here either. Jimmy?
No.
He's good.
I'm a billionaire, but I don't need the tax cut.
There you go. He's good. If Congress doesn't act, premiums could go up 75% for many Americans. Hardworking Americans. Hardworking Americans, Democrats and Republicans, people who don't even vote. Premiums going up. That's what Republicans are trying to do in Washington, and shut down the government at the same time. But we're going to fight for the basic rights, like health care, like freedom of speech, like freedom of religion. You know, part of the reason that I didn't vote for that Charlie Kirk resolution is because it wasn't true. I'll condemn political violence all day long, but I'm not going to venerate someone who's trying to divide the country. I'm not going to vote for a resolution that says biblical truth when we have this basic concept of separation of church and state. That shouldn't be that hard. I'm not going to lionize someone to play in the hands of the president, to play into his agenda, because we have too much work to do. There are a lot of Americans who are suffering today, a lot of Americans who are hiding, who are scared, a lot of Americans who are going to be out of work because of the tariffs, because they can't afford health care. A lot of Americans are simply scared to show up to work today because they don't know who might come to whisk them off the streets. There's a sign that says we will not be bullied into silence, and yet we know that Trump is trying to silence people who just simply write op-eds that he disagrees with, whisk them off the streets like they did to that student at Tufts. Put her in prison in Louisiana for months. Or what about that amazing 18-year-old Marcelo? What about him? 18 years old, thrown in a prison without a window, without a shower, without a bed for 6 days. Why? Because they said, when you were 6 years old, you violated some immigration order. When you were 6 years old. A lot of those people who are suffering today are not here with us today. But it's our job to represent them, to fight for them, to stand up for them, and to win for them. That is why we have to win. That's why it's a little frightening that the midterms are further away from today than Trump's inauguration. So we've got a long way to go here, folks. There's a lot of politics between then and now. But every single day, we need to speak up. Every single day, we need to organize. Every single day, you need to convince someone who doesn't vote to come out and vote when it counts. Every single day, we need to work to ensure that our kids have a future that's brighter than our own. Every single day, we need to show Americans that Democrats will lead. Not just oppose, but we will lead. That we will build a stronger economy that includes everyone in America. That we will build a stronger democracy that values all the voices in America. That we are not afraid if you disagree with us. We will not try to put you down or put you in prison or cancel you from late night. We will bring you in and we will make you proud to be a Democrat and vote for us and vote this guy out of office. That's how democracies work, by volunteering, by organizing, by standing up, and by remembering our American values. And there's no greater American value than freedom. The freedom to show up today, the freedom to work hard for our future, the freedom to believe that America can be better than before. When I look out at these faces today, a diverse group of Americans in the birthplace of American freedom here in Massachusetts, I'll tell you what, I see a lot of hope. I see a lot of energy. I see a lot of excitement. Woohoo! I see a lot of freedom.
Yes.
And I see America. I see America. I see the future of America for our kids, for our grandkids. The future of democracy. Because indeed, it's not even just Americans. It's not just the Americans who afraid to come out right now, maybe can't come out. It's people all around the globe who are looking to us. All around the globe, people are looking to America to lead, to get back to our values, to show what freedom is all about, to show that Democrats can take us to the future, to a brighter future for America and the world. That is what we need to do. That is why we need to win. And that is what we will do with your help. So thank you, Gloucester. Thank you, Democrats. And thank God for the United States of America.
Mr. Seth Moulton, ladies and gentlemen.